We've just learned that a man was taken to the hospital right now with injuries resulting from a shooting that happened on Indian Canyon Drive. Take a look at the scene that's being investigated. Again, they're making entry right now as we speak. It has not been yet confirmed whether or not Valenzuela is actually inside the home. With this block, it's hard to tell if and when those unions will be possible. Again, many believe this case may ultimately reach the U.S. Supreme Court. Witnesses say they heard about 20 shots fired in this officer-involved shooting. The first thing I want to let you know is that no structures are in danger and no injuries have been. They broke the window that you're looking at to come inside the building. Now, the safe was kept in this corner. We know it weighed several hundred pounds. They then broke this window you're looking at to eventually escape through this side door. The school officials say at least $5,000 were inside the safe. Several homes in the nation have been burglarized because of those types of messages. Another problem, posting your exact birth date could lead to identity theft. This place is bustling with writers, directors, actors, and animators. For you moviegoers, there's a lot of entertainment here this weekend. There will be certain requirements that the golf carts have to meet. For instance, they'll have to have seat belts, and this road is expected to remain closed for a couple of hours. Reporting in Palm Springs, Arti Nehru, sending it back to you in the studio.
All right, Arti, thank you very much.
This is a great day for the gay and lesbian community for California.
What began as a rally to celebrate the overturning of Proposition 8
it's about my opinion, and I have one.
I have a voice.
quickly turned into a war of words.
If who I marry, how does that affect you? How does it directly affect you?
It affects the whole world.
No,
you know
it doesn't.
What? Yes, it does.
She's inciting a riot. We're peaceful people. She belongs across the street behind a fence.
The commotion started outside the courthouse in Palm Springs when a woman and her daughter interrupted the rally to speak out against gay marriage.
But we
live
have
in
a
a democracy.
constitution. Do you understand a constitution?
Yes, I understand the Constitution, and you're saying it's protecting you, but it's not protecting me.
Okay.
Several officers stood nearby, and while some arguments did get heated, the police did not have to intervene at any point.
You know what you guys have done? You've let them take the focus off of that.
Okay,
and
I'm
bring
having
it to
conversation with her.
I understand, but you're taking the focus off of what's going on over here.
Both supporters and opponents of same-sex marriage say they know the fight is not over. In Palm Springs, I'm Arti Nehru, KPSP Local2.com.
It was Arti Nehru live for us outside the courtroom this afternoon where the judge earlier handed down his decision. Arti?
Chris, Judge David Dowding said at one point he had already made up his mind to dismiss the charges against the men when he heard what words were used by the police department. He said it was only after he heard the testimonies by former police chief David Dominguez and Sergeant Brian Anderson, both who have admitted to making inappropriate comments, that he decided that these words were not targeted at anybody or any group of people, and therefore the police department did not discriminate in this operation. After 8 days of testimonies, 17 witnesses, including the former Palm Springs police chief, a judge decided charges will not be dismissed against 14 of the men arrested for indecent exposure and lewd conduct in the 2009 Warm Sands undercover operation.
I do think that this is vindication for the citizens of Palm Springs. It's vindication for the city of Palm Springs. It is vindication for the police department of Palm Springs.
The judge acknowledged that the police department has never made arrests or conducted a sting for male-female public sex. But he said when police decided to do this sting, they had plenty of evidence of an ongoing problem of men having sex with men in public.
I'm incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. My opinion, I think he focused on deciding that the defendants, were guilty, which actually isn't the point. It's are straight people treated differently?
It was only after the judge made his decision that Sergeant Brian Anderson, who has been accused of using a gay slur, spoke to us for the first time.
I'm not excited at all. I don't think anybody won here today. And the only thing I wish is certain people where I work, I wish they stood up behind us and supported us, and that didn't happen. And it's a shame that our chief of police had to lose his job because of this.
A lot of mixed reactions tonight. There will now be a pre-trial on March 14th. At that time, the defendants can decide whether they want to settle, possibly enter a guilty plea deal where they would not have to register as lifetime sex offenders, or they can decide to take this case to trial. Reporting live in India, Arti Nehru, back to you in the studio.
Arti, couple things for you. Number one, in essence, did the judge kind of say that this comment that's been thrown around, the supposed gay slur, wasn't in fact a slur? Is that in essence what his ruling was about today? And then also I wanted to know, is this plea deal that these men were offered a couple of weeks ago still even on the table now that the judge has decided not to dismiss the charges?
Brooke, that plea deal for the defendants is still on the table. They can still decide to take it, and if they do, like I mentioned, they would not have to register as lifetime sex offenders. They would face the misdemeanor charges, though. As to the gay slur question you were asking me, the judge didn't say anything specifically about whether or not this is a gay slur. He just made the comment that this was not directed to any group of people, that the police department did not discriminate. Yes, he wishes the comment wasn't made. Again, that's what the police chief and Sergeant Anderson both also admitted themselves, but he said that these comments, like everyone's been saying, were not directed at any specific person.
Arti, I'm curious about what we heard Sergeant Anderson say, that people behind us didn't really back us up, back the police in Palm Springs. Any indication who he's talking about? Are those people within the Palm Springs Police Department or other officials in Palm Springs? Any sense of that? He sounded quite upset about that.
You know, Chris, I asked him that question and he didn't give a clear answer. I mean, it could be possible that he was maybe alluding to the city council or the city manager, but again, he did not give a clear answer when we asked him that question.
All right, it'll be interesting to see how this all filters down as this continues through the courts. Arti Nehru live at that courtroom this afternoon. Thank you, Arti.
Good afternoon.
With this rose, I be wed.
I promise to be true to you in good
This
times
hospital
and bad.
wedding was put on in less than 24 hours to grant Terry Lukens his final wish.
My father, before he got extremely sick, he was telling all the doctors that he had to make it for my wedding, and he had to walk his baby down the aisle.
The 66-year-old from Joshua Tree has a rare aggressive form of cancer in the brain and in other organs of his body. When doctors told him he may not be able to make his daughter's September wedding, the family moved the wedding to him at the Chapel of Desert Regional Medical Center.
So we shaved him and washed his hair, and he said he wanted to look good, so he's ready.
Despite the tears in their eyes, it was a walk to remember for both father and daughter.
For my father-in-law, so we have one final memory, happy memory of his daughter and his family. He's been dedicated to his family for 45 years and dedicated to his country, has worked almost exclusively for the government, whether it was in the Air Force or military bases.
Lukens will be moving into a hospice soon, but he'll be taking this beautiful memory with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I now present you Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Berrien.
Arti Nehru, KPSP Local2.com.